Hi. For the first time, El Trafico comes to the U.S. Open Cup, a midweek game. Mookie Betts is taking more prisoners in Washington than a January 6th Trump rally. And I have a question for the Kings, but I don't have Rob Blake's number, so I'm just going to ask you instead. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is Faithful Angelenos. It is May 25th. Good morning. It's fantastic out there. Hey, if you like the content we've been putting out about LA sports for the last 3 months, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. We put out a new video between 9 and 10 a.m. every day. It'll let you know it's there. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And yes, comment. For I am not omnipotent. So before we get to the main topic, every so often I like to give you guys an update about LAFC and LA Galaxy, where they are in terms of stuff. But before we get there, let's go to the scoreboard and the notes. Yesterday, Mookie Betts hit 2 home runs. He leads the National League with 12. I never saw that coming. Trey Turner also hits a home run. The Dodgers defeat the Nationals 9-4. They have a 1.5 game lead on the Padres. They're 29-13. As for today's schedule, the Dodgers and the Nats play again at 1. That's Julio Urias. He's 3-3. Eric Fedde, or Fed, he's 2-3. He'll go for Washington. In addition to that, in the WNBA, Phoenix will play the LA Sparks at 7:30 tonight. LA is on a 5-game losing streak. And yes, as previously mentioned, it is Galaxy game day. Galaxy and the LAFC. U.S. Open Cup, 7:30. Rams owner Stan Kroenke is under the gun about a $790 million settlement with the city of St. Louis. You might recall, St. Louis sued the NFL, sued everybody in sight when the Rams came back to LA. Now, the LA Times has a slightly misleading headline. Quote, the NFL is footing the bill. That is not accurate. The NFL is not paying the entire thing. Okay, let's put that to the side. What Kroenke did agree to pay to was legal bills. He's just not saying, I'm going to pay the whole $790 million settlement, because that's something that I personally didn't agree to. So far, the league has ponied up some of the money. They're not footing the entire bill. Stop it. Each team so far has been set back about $7.5 million. That's about $232.5 million total. And I'm kind of skeptical that Kroenke is going to scratch out a check for another $500 million. So let's not go there. Meanwhile, with the Chargers, quarterback Justin Herbert is up to 245 pounds. He's put on 10 pounds since last year. He credits the whole thing to a lifting regimen. You know, I'm starting to think he might have been lifting a few too many Western bacon cheeseburgers in the whole setup. I don't know for sure, okay? I don't need to see shirtless photos of the guy. Maybe it is all lean muscle. But I'm starting to think if he keeps it up, he's going to make Jamarcus Russell look like Soulja Boy. Tell him, I don't know. Just asking. Question for the LA Kings. I just want to take a moment to express a fear that I have about the LA Kings, because they had a terrific year last year, right? Coming back in the playoffs and all that. But you remember when the Lakers had all those lottery picks for about 3 or 4 years, and they drafted Julius Randle, and they drafted Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball, and none of them took control. That was a big problem with all of their development. They were all kind of beta. You know, it's like, who's the go-to guy on the team? And Luke Walton was like, oh, well, it'll just figure it out on its own. And it never did. Never did. And that's why all 3 of them are gone, because with LeBron James where the ball is going. Those sort of things matter. My problem with the Kings is nobody is taking control in this next generation of prospects. Nobody is working to earn the captaincy. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, when Drew Doughty came out, Drew Doughty had the attitude, says, I'm going to be in charge of this defense. And to a lesser extent, you could say the same about Jonathan Quick. You could say the same thing about Anze Kopitar or Dustin Brown. They all wanted to lead. But ask yourself, does Quentin Byfield look like he wants to step up? Gabe Velarde? Tobias Bjornfoot? Alex Turcotte? I could go on and on. Who is the guy that is going to take the team by the scruff of the neck? Because that matters too when you're trying to reach these so-called next levels. Does that make sense? I realize he doesn't play for the LA Galaxy anymore, but this matters to me. I'm a big fan of Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He had left knee surgery. You might remember over the weekend, he came out through the tunnel after AC Milan won Serie A. He comes through the tunnel. He's got a big stogie in his mouth, and he's spraying the fans with the cheap stuff. And yeah, there was a reason for that, because he had a feeling he was going to be out for a while. 8 months. Tough stuff. As I mentioned, every so often, I like to give an update on LAFC and the Galaxy. And I want to get at least one thing out of my system before tonight's match with the U.S. Open Cup. El Trafico is probably the most fun rivalry in MLS. It's the most fun you can have in MLS. And that is a reason why we should stick with the name El Trafico. Okay, there are some disgruntled LAFC fans, and I might add that includes LAFC announcer Max Bretos, who keeps trying to force this new name. Clásico Angelico. And yes, when you say Clásico Angelico, you have to include the flourish, right? Stop it. Cut it out. You're trying to force something that nobody wants. Clásico Angelico sounds like the bottle of $2 wine you use to seduce your wife after you've gambled away your stimulus check at Commerce Casino. Stop it. When you can't afford a room at Motel 6, when the back seat of your Hyundai Tiburon will have to do, make it a night to remember with Clásico Angelico. I mean, stop, okay? El Trafico was the first name that everybody liked, right? The fans, the soccer press liked it. And because the matches were fun, they were a lot of fun, you'll never change anybody's minds, because now El Trafico fits. The name that you're choosing, this Clásico Angelico, is bad for at least 3 reasons. 1, it's exclusionary. Soccer is a game for all. It's a game for all races, genders, LGBTQ. This name that you guys are trying to force is only good to those, or only seems inclusionary to those who use Spanish as a primary language. And Spanish is an elegant language, but El Trafico, as Spanglish, invites everybody. Whether you're Latino, no matter what you are, because of the fact that it's Spanglish. And LA is a multicultural melting pot. So just go multicultural for this. Number 2, just like the Freeway Series in baseball and Freeway Face-Off in hockey, El Trafico acknowledges that Los Angeles can take a joke. We have lousy traffic. We all acknowledge it. It's part of the culture. And number 3, because the name El Trafico is goofy, the game itself means we should take the games seriously, but just not too seriously. Do you see the difference? Like before the very first El Trafico, I run into some LAFC fans in the beer line at Dignity Health before kickoff. So what do? Well, we clown each other, we all share a big laugh, we clank our cans, and then we move on with our lives. That's the point of El Trafico. We are still all Angelenos. When the final whistle goes, we either celebrate for a few minutes, get frustrated for a few minutes, but we remain Angelenos. So stop taking things too seriously. It is not Clásico Angelico, okay? It's El Trafico. I hope that settles things, but people are stubborn. As for tonight, LAFC has won El Trafico just 3 times in 14 matches, including the record, it's really bad at Dignity Health, 0-5-2. Now, I don't pay much attention to the U.S. Open Cup, but because LAFC is 0-5-2 at Dignity Health, this match has added meaning to LAFC. If you don't believe me, there was a video clip running around of an LAFC supporter just losing his mind, yelling at the front office because they've never won, quote, in Carson, unquote. This time, however, there may be blood in the water because the Galaxy have stunk up the joint in their last 2 home matches. They've allowed 6 goals. They got booed off the pitch. So regarding tonight, I just want to keep it simple. I think the key to the game is the Galaxy formation because early in the year, the Galaxy utilized a 4-2-3-1. The idea was that LA at that point didn't necessarily trust their back line. So they added a couple of defensive midfielders to kind of help out. And also, because of that, it simplified the offense. The one up top was Chicharito. That was the focus. Play good defense, get the ball to Chicharito, he puts the ball in net. LAFC, on the other hand, knew what it had to do because they've been running the 4-3-3 for years. In my opinion, the Galaxy struggles have a little bit to do with that formation shift that they had about a month and a half ago. They too shifted to a 4-3-3. What happened as a result? Left the back line exposed. That's one problem. Number 2, they gambled on getting Kevin Cabral more opportunities by having him be in the top 3 with Chicharito. And as we all know, Kevin Cabral just doesn't know how to take advantage of anything. The guy's played over 700 minutes. He hasn't even registered a goal or an assist. And I'd love to talk more about Kevin Cabral and all that other stuff, but I'm going to punt for now. I just want to get to the point about tonight's game. In my opinion, if the Galaxy line up in a 4-3-3, I think LAFC is going to win in a rout. But if Greg Vanny goes back to basics, if he goes and says we're going to pay more attention to defense with a 4-2-3-1 and also simplify the offense, I see a draw or a Galaxy win. Because LAFC also plays a 4-3-3 and they get exposed constantly. Okay? So you tell me what you think, because when it comes to soccer, I recognize that there are a lot of people who are way more smarter than I am about it. Now, if you enjoyed today's episode, by all means, like and subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We are trying to build something here. I'm James. Thank you for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is again Corte El Queso production. Take care.